Page 34, Allegro in F major. On page 32 and 33, they're introducing you to the primary chords in the key of F major. The 1 chord, 4 chord, and a 5/7 chord. And if you know how to figure them out, you can do it in any key. But in F, remember there's a B flat in F major. So when we do the chords, we got to use the notes in the scale. So the 1 chord, it would be the 1, the F chord. Remember, this happens to be a 4 chord in the key of C major here. Well, in the key of F major, that's a 1 chord. And the 4 chord, well, count out 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember B flat. It was simply. Remember, we're using the notes in the F major scale, and it's every other note. So from B flat, C to D, E to F. It's a B flat chord. It's a 4 chord in the key of F major. And normally we would put the F on the bottom, so it's here to here. And then the 5/7 chord, well, the 5 chord in F major is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a C chord. Happens to be a 1 chord in the key of C major, but it's a 5 chord in the key of F major. Confused yet? Stick around. I'm working on it. And then we want the 5/7, we add another note. But we have to stay in the key of F major. F major has a B flat. So instead of a B natural, we use the B flat. It's a C7 chord. Because the distance between the C and the B flat is an interval of a 7th. The distance between a C and a B is an interval of a 7th. But it's a different flavor of 7th, and we haven't talked about those yet, so don't worry about it. We'll get to those later. We're just dealing with the numbers. So this is still an interval of a 7th. That would be an interval of a 6th. That's an interval of a 7th in this case. It could be an interval of a 6th too. You're confused enough. Let's not go there. So anyway, it's here. And we normally would simply put the E on the bottom. So put the C on top. And we don't have to use both of these notes. We need these notes, the top and the bottom note. But we don't need these notes. So we usually leave one out. So we use this arrangement. So it's here and here. That's the 5/7 chord in F major. Typically that way the hand doesn't have to move around so much. So the 1, 4, 5/7, 1 in F major. You need to know the chords. So as you're doing the scale, practicing the F major scale, you are practicing the scale. Go ahead and review these primary chords too, just quickly. You can play them as block chords. You can play them as broken chords in any pattern you want. Whatever, or here. Make stuff up, have fun with it. Now, for Allegro in F major, well, it's Allegro, it's going to be fast. It's in the key of F major. Sometimes these titles these people come up with are not real creative. Allegro in F major, something fast in F majors, whatever. At the top of the page, they're introducing a couple of ideas or concepts used in music. One is called a musical motif. They call it motif. A lot of times it's spelled motif. And its plural would be motifs, as in an S on motifs. I ain't going there. It's a musical thought. It's not a full phrase. It's not a full musical sentence. It's just a musical thought. It might just be a couple of notes. It could be a few notes. It could be whatever. They label them in here to give you an idea. At the beginning, the first 2 measures in the right hand is one motif. It's one musical idea. And they'll put a few of these together to make a musical phrase, maybe, or sentence, or whatever. That's just one of the things that when you're looking at music and learning music, you'll recognize these motifs because they'll typically be multiple places. And then imitation, and imitation is just where you're imitating or you're copying something. And they're talking about here, it's the hands that are imitating each other at different times. Okay, so much for that. I don't use those hardly ever at all, except the motif thing. It comes in handy when learning the piece because I can recognize the motif and okay, I know what's going on here. It has to do with interpreting the music. And that'll all be made clear a little later on, in about a million years or so later on. I'm not sure. So, for the piece, 3/4 time, F major, obviously. Eighth notes all over the place, and quarter notes and stuff. Let's do this one hand at a time first to make sure we get the fingering down. And again, I play everything legato to start with. And we'll put in the articulation later. Right hand, you're starting here. Remember the B flats in the key signature. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Remember, dotted half note is the same as 3 quarter notes. I can't drill it in enough. So how much time a quarter note gets, the dotted half note gets 3 times that. Here, a quarter note gets 1 count, dotted half note gets 3. Well, that's a whole measure. It comes in handy. Let's jump down to measure 5. Remember the numbers in the little boxes at the beginning of each line is a measure number. So you find, like measure 4, you count over 1, that's measure 5. Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Just reach up with a little finger there, it's all. Jump up to measure 13. Don't jump real high, just go up there. You're here, all eighth notes, all even, all controlled, all connected. Now here, in measure 14, you got to come up here, just come up 1. We just changed positions. So again, measure 13, and then come here, and then come up with the thumb. If you're practicing the scales, this thumb thing should not be a problem. That's not exactly the move in a F major scale, doesn't matter. You get accustomed to moving the thumb under or crossing over the thumb while doing the scales. So you can use whatever you need in the music at the time. Then going on, measure 17 is just the C chord. Try and get the notes down at the same time if you can. I'm not very good at it. Just listen carefully and try. You're just lowering the whole hand down. You're not trying to use the fingers. You just put it in position and lower the hand down gently. Flex the wrist a little bit. Don't play with a stiff wrist. Measure 19, it's a B natural. And that's good for the whole measure. Left hand. F chord, it's a broken chord. And then 1 and 2. I really wish they wouldn't give you all these finger numbers. All you need to know is where to start, and that's here. You don't need these other finger numbers until you move. And you're not moving yet. You're here. When you get to measure 5, you have the 4 chord. The thumb comes up. Okay. Let's go over to measure 17 on page 35. You've just played a F chord of measure 16. Then you have a 1 beat rest to come down. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 2, 3, so forth. Go down to measure 22. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then reach up, it's an octave to the C, and then claps. And that's going to take you back to the beginning, which I'll explain later. Put the hands together. 1 and 2. See, this is the imitation we were talking about there. The left hand's copying the right a little bit later. Measure 5, jump down here. I'm still playing everything connected. Let's go over to measure 17, page 35. During the rest, you're going to, left hand comes down, the right hand's fine. You're just going to come thumb here. So forth. And once you kind of get an idea of the fingering and all, then make sure there's no hesitations anywhere. The beat needs to be steady. You can go any speed you want, nice and slow, but the beat needs to be steady. We can speed it up later. And we can add the articulation, the slurs and the staccatos. Go ahead and lift up between each of these slurs. Just lift up. It's like taking a breath and going on. Now the chords, play them as legato as you can. You can't, but go ahead and do the best you can. So I'm lifting up here. I'm connecting the... Now both hands lifting up. So forth. Measure 17. Now we have staccato on the chords here. Wrist, right. I put my hand on the keys and bounce off. Now I put my hand back on the keys before I play the next one, if I have time. Sometimes it's too fast, you can't do that. In this piece, we'll see. When we speed it up, I don't know, but when I'm playing it slow, I still do that. So it's on the keys, play it, bounce off, and then put it back on the keys, and then play it again. And then the left hand is connected. Well, good luck with that. Because I'm holding the quarter note in the left hand down, even though that's a staccato. Isn't that fun? Measure, that's not staccato. Here, and lift the hands up, and then now when I go back to the beginning, I'm going to slur this. They have a no. Connect that. Connect the G to the F at the beginning. Connect those 5 notes together. And once you have the articulation, then we do the dynamics. Moderately loud. It's going to kind of be the eighth notes in whichever hand has them. The chords need to be a little under that. We want to hear this in either hand, whatever it is. So the hands are going back and forth as to which one is louder. This is a good exercise. And I know it takes time to develop that kind of control. I'm asking you to keep trying. It will come eventually if you'll keep at it. So the right hand is moderately loud, and the left hand is going to be soft here. The second measure, that's moderately loud. You're finishing the thought, but now the left hand comes up to moderately loud too. And now you're soft. See, you have to finish the thought. Don't come and play that really soft. Finish it. And then you're soft. But the right hand starts soft. So the second measure is here. Measure 5, that's the right hand, that's medium loud. The broken chords are soft. Then measure 7, you're soft. The left hand's very soft. Now back to loud for the 8th notes. This is all soft. And then you're going to measure 15, you crescendo up. Doesn't say how loud to get up, about a medium loud. There, that note, that's what you're after. The chord is under that. It's about a medium soft, so it's a little louder. I do like a note at a or a beat at a time. 1, louder, louder, I'm here. So then going on, measure 17, we're loud, but that's the 8th notes. In this case, it's the left hand. The right hand needs to be down to about a medium soft. And at the end, the last measure, you go back down, start it loud, and you're going down to a soft. Because the right hand, when you go back to the beginning, it's going to be medium loud. The left hand has to be soft. So forth. Tricky on dynamics. You need to get to know it well enough where you're not thinking about notes and fingering and all that stuff, and you start feeling this, so you feel the dynamics. And we can feel the speed. Allegro is fast. How fast? It's a range. How fast can you play the eighth notes accurately? It's up to you, and I will play this 10 times. I'll play it at 10 different speeds, just depending on how I feel it. It's in the range of the fast. Depends on how much coffee I've had. Now, roadmap wise, you'll see a repeat sign at the end of measure 16. So you go back, there's no reverse repeat sign anywhere. So you go back to the beginning, you play all that again. Then at the bottom of page 35, the DC al fine, DC means go back to the beginning. Just go to the beginning. And al fine, the fine is at the end of measure 16 also. So we're going to go back and play that part again. If you were looking at the musical form, it would be like an AA, because you repeated the A section. And then you'd have a B section, and then you go back and do the A section again. So it's AABA, something like that as far as the form goes. I'd like to play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the dynamics, but we will do the repeat and the DC and all that stuff. So I'll give us 3 counts and let's go over it very slowly together. One hand at a time if you need to at first. I don't care. Right? 1 and ready and go and 1 and. Repeat.